Hey everyone. You know how we all try to keep up with what's happening, especially in tech, right? I mean, things change so fast, it's almost a full-time job just to stay informed.
It really is.
But we want to know, we want to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
So today we're doing a deep dive on something that's been picking up steam since early 2025.
Yeah, this is a big one.
This is vibe coding.
Vibe coding, absolutely.
We've been looking at a ton of articles, analyses, all sorts of stuff, trying to understand what this means.
And it's more than just like a little tweak here and there. It seems like it could fundamentally change how software is developed.
Right, exactly.
So we need to wrap our heads around it.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to do today. We're going to look at what vibe coding is, how it's changing the way code is written. We'll even talk about this voice-to-code programming thing.
Oh, yeah, that's a big part of it.
And then we'll zoom out, see what's happening in the industry, how companies are reacting,
How they're adapting. Yeah.
and even how coding education is trying to keep up with all of this.
Because it's moving fast.
Yeah. So by the end of this, you'll have a clear idea of what vibe coding is and why it matters right now.
Absolutely.
Let's start with the basics.
Okay.
What is vibe coding?
All right, so at its core, vibe coding is about software developers relying more and more on AI to generate code. But instead of writing out detailed instructions, they're describing what they want in plain language.
Oh, interesting.
Almost like having a conversation with the computer.
So instead of writing line by line, it's more about saying, hey, I want the program to do this.
Exactly. You just describe the functionality you need.
And then the AI is like, got it. I'll write the code for that.
Precisely. And some people are even calling it giving in to the vibes, just letting the AI handle the coding details.
Giving into the vibes. That's a really catchy phrase.
It is. It kind of captures the feeling.
It makes coding sound almost effortless.
Yeah, in a way it is, but of course there's still skill involved.
Right. So what does this look like in practice? Someone sits down, they want to build something. What happens?
Okay, so imagine a developer. They have an idea for a new feature.
Okay.
They describe what they want to the AI assistant. Like, I need a button that does this. When clicked, it should do that, in plain English.
Just like talking to a colleague, almost.
Exactly.
Right, okay.
And the AI takes that description and generates the actual code.
Wow.
Now, the key here is, in vibe coding, the developer often accepts the AI-generated code with minimal review.
Really? So they're not going through every line checking for errors?
Not necessarily. There's a certain level of trust in the AI's output.
Interesting.
And if there are issues, they can just ask the AI to find and fix them.
Oh, that's convenient.
It is. It streamlines the process.
So this is different from, those AI tools that suggest lines of code.
Right. Those have been around for a while.
It feels like a much bigger shift, like giving up more control to the AI.
Exactly. And this is a point that Simon Willison, an AI researcher, has been talking about.
Okay.
He makes a distinction between simply using AI as a fancy typing assistant and actually embracing vibe coding.
What's the difference?
So if you're still carefully reviewing every line of AI-generated code, testing everything meticulously, making sure you understand every bit of it,
Okay.
you're essentially just using the AI to write faster. That's not really vibe coding.
It's more about letting go, trusting the AI.
Exactly. The core of vibe coding is that trust in the AI's output.
Okay, that distinction makes sense.
Now, along with vibe coding, there's another trend that's been growing: voice-to-code programming.
Oh yeah, that sounds futuristic.
It is, and the rise of vibe coding has actually accelerated it.
How so?
Well, if you're already describing what you want in natural language, it's a natural progression to simply speak those instructions.
Yeah, I can see that. It's almost like talking to a voice assistant on your phone, but instead of setting a reminder, you're creating software.
Exactly, and tools like Cursor, they're making this possible.
What does Cursor do?
It allows developers to literally speak their coding intentions.
Wow.
And the AI generates the code in response, all through voice commands.
So you could say something like, create a function that calculates the average of these numbers.
Exactly.
And boom, the code appears.
That's the idea. It's becoming more and more realistic.
So this is probably a big deal for people with certain disabilities.
Absolutely. For neurodivergent developers, this is a game changer.
Our sources were saying that this could be really beneficial for them.
Yeah, because it can accommodate different cognitive processing styles.
Right, not everyone thinks in the same way.
And traditional keyboard-based coding can be a barrier for some.
So voice to code opens up new possibilities.
Exactly. It makes software development more inclusive.
That's fantastic.
And it has the potential to bring in a wider range of people into the field.
So it's not just about writing code, it's about who gets to write code.
Absolutely. It's about diversifying the talent pool.
Now, beyond the initial writing of code, how is vibe coding and voice to code changing things like finding and fixing errors?
Well, even code review and debugging are evolving.
Oh, interesting.
Developers are starting to use natural language to discuss the code with AI assistants.
Really? So instead of poring over lines of code, they're having a conversation with the AI.
Exactly. They can say things like, hey, can you explain this section of code to me? Or
Wow.
can you find any potential bugs in this function?
And the AI understands what they're asking.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how sophisticated these AI assistants are getting.
So it's like having a coding buddy who never gets tired of your questions.
Exactly, and this makes the whole process much more interactive, collaborative.
And potentially less frustrating, right?
Yeah,
Because debugging can be a real pain.
absolutely. It can take up so much time.
So this shift towards natural language and AI
Mhm.
assistance, it could make software development more appealing to a wider range of people.
Yeah, people who might have been intimidated by traditional coding.
And that could lead to even faster innovation in the tech sector.
Absolutely. More people contributing, more ideas coming in. It's exciting.
Okay, so we've talked about how individual developers are working. Let's zoom out a little bit.
Okay.
What kind of transformations are we seeing in the industry as a whole because of this shift towards vibe coding?
Well, the changes are happening quickly, and some of the reports are pretty impressive.
Like what?
Companies that have adopted vibe coding are seeing significant benefits.
Okay.
One stat that really stood out was a 30% reduction in developer turnover.
Wow, 30% fewer developers leaving their jobs. That's huge.
It is, and it suggests a real shift in the work culture.
So why are fewer developers leaving?
It seems like vibe coding is allowing them to focus on more creative, engaging tasks.
Because the AI is handling the tedious stuff.
Exactly. The repetitive parts of coding are being automated.
So developers can spend more time problem solving, designing, being innovative.
Exactly. And that leads to more job satisfaction, a stronger sense of ownership over their work.
It makes sense when you feel like you're actually creating something, you're more likely to stay.
And that 30% drop, it's not just about people staying. It indicates a deeper change in how developers perceive their work.
They're not just cogs in a machine, they're actually using their creativity.
Exactly. They're becoming more like artists, in a way.
Interesting.
And this impact extends beyond developer satisfaction.
Yep.
It's influencing how projects are managed, how teams are structured.
So it's like a ripple effect across the entire industry.
Yeah, it's changing the fundamental business models of software companies.
And it's also leading to a democratization of software creation.
Oh, that's a really interesting point.
Our sources were talking about how people without traditional coding backgrounds can now design and launch their own software.
Yeah, with the help of AI, of course.
So someone with expertise in, say, biology or art could create software specific to their field.
Exactly. They don't need years of coding training anymore.
Wow, that opens up so many possibilities.
It does. It could lead to much faster innovation in all sorts of fields.
But what about the role of the traditional software developer? Are they becoming obsolete?
Not at all, but their role is evolving.
Okay.
They're becoming less the sole writer of code.
And more like what?
More like AI collaborators, system architects.
Interesting.
They guide the AI, oversee the overall direction of the project.
So they're still essential, but they're working differently.
Yeah, and another big change is the speed of development.
How much faster are things moving?
Some reports are saying up to 10 times faster completion times.
10 times faster. That's incredible.
It is. AI assistance is really streamlining the process.
But what about quality and security? If the AI is generating so much code, how do we know it's good code, secure code?
That's a crucial question, and the industry is addressing it with AI-enhanced testing and review processes.
So more AI to check the work of the AI.
In a way.
Yeah, that sounds a bit recursive.
It is, but it's necessary.
So these new tools, they're specifically designed to find vulnerabilities in AI-generated code.
Exactly. They're looking for potential security holes, making sure the code meets certain quality standards.
So it's not just about speed, it's about ensuring that the code is actually good.
Right, because if the AI generates faulty code, it could have serious consequences.
And we're also seeing the emergence of entirely new platforms built specifically for vibe coding.
Yeah, platforms that are AI native, where natural language is the primary interface.
So it's not just about adapting existing tools, it's about creating entirely new workflows.
Exactly. The entire development life cycle is changing.
Okay, so the industry is clearly undergoing a massive transformation.
It is, and it's happening faster than many people anticipated.
So what about education? How are computer science programs preparing students for this new world of vibe coding?
It's a big challenge because the skills needed are changing rapidly.
So are universities and coding boot camps just throwing out the old curriculum?
Not entirely, but there's definitely a shift in emphasis.
Okay, what are they focusing on now?
Well, there's a lot of talk about prompt engineering.
Prompt engineering. What's that?
It's basically the art of communicating effectively with AI.
So knowing how to phrase your requests to get the best results from the AI.
Exactly. It's like learning a new language, the language of AI.
That makes sense. You need to be able to tell the AI what you want in a way it understands.
Right. And there are courses popping up on AI collaboration strategies, how to work effectively with these AI assistants.
So it's not just about coding anymore. It's about understanding how to collaborate with AI.
Yeah, and there's also a focus on high-level system design.
Because if the AI is handling the details, developers need to be able to think about the big picture.
Exactly. They need to understand how all the pieces fit together, how to design complex systems.
So the focus is shifting from writing code to architecting systems.
Yeah, and educational institutions are starting to integrate AI coding assistants directly into their courses.
So students are learning how to use these tools from the get-go.
Right, it's becoming part of the standard curriculum.
And there's also a growing emphasis on interdisciplinary skills.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Our sources were saying that combining programming with fields like psychology, linguistics, even ethics is becoming important.
It makes sense because you need to understand how humans think and communicate to effectively collaborate with AI.
Right, you need to be able to anticipate how the AI might interpret your instructions, how it might make decisions.
And you need to consider the ethical implications of the software you're creating with the help of AI.
So it's not just about technical skills anymore. It's about a broader understanding of the human element.
Absolutely. It's about being a well-rounded technologist.
Now, of course, this shift towards AI-assisted coding isn't without its critics.
Right. Some people are concerned about the potential downsides.
What are they worried about?
Well, there's a concern that relying too heavily on AI in education might lead to a generation of developers who lack deep understanding of fundamental coding principles.
So they might know how to use the AI tools, but they don't really understand the underlying code.
Exactly, and that could lead to problems down the line.
Like what?
Well, they might not be able to troubleshoot effectively when things go wrong.
Or they might create code that's brittle, insecure.
Right, because they don't have that deep knowledge of how things work at a fundamental level.
So it's a valid concern. But on the other hand, proponents of this new approach argue that it will ultimately produce more versatile creative technologists.
Yeah, developers who can leverage AI to solve complex problems more effectively.
So it's a trade-off, potentially gaining efficiency and new possibilities, but maybe sacrificing some depth of understanding.
It's a debate that's going to continue as AI becomes more integrated into software development.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, taking a deep dive into this world of vibe coding.
It's been a fascinating exploration.
And it's clear that this isn't just a passing trend.
No, it's a fundamental shift in how software is created.
And it has implications that extend far beyond the tech industry.
Absolutely. It's changing the way we think about work, creativity, even education.
So, as we wrap up, here's something to ponder. With this growing reliance on AI in creative fields, how might that change our understanding of what it means to be an expert?
That's a great question. It challenges us to rethink traditional notions of expertise.
Because if AI can generate code, write music, create art, what does it mean to be a programmer, a musician, an artist?
It blurs the lines, forces us to reevaluate what skills and knowledge are truly valuable.
And it raises questions about the future of learning itself.
Absolutely. How do we educate the next generation in a world where AI is increasingly capable?
These are questions we'll continue to grapple with as AI becomes more integrated into our lives.
And they're questions that each of us should consider no matter what field we're in.
Because this isn't just about technology, it's about the future of human creativity and innovation.
It's about how we adapt and evolve in a world that's changing at an unprecedented pace.
So thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it's given you some food for thought.
And as always, we encourage you to keep exploring, keep questioning, and stay ahead of the curve.